So I found your discussion to be super interesting, and I agree. You mentioned that the reason that you chose the topic of underweight individuals was predominantly because there's like less focus on that when compared to obesity and overweight individuals. And I found myself to be kind of guilty of that. I do think we tend to shift our focus on overweight and obesity because it's an epidemic within the United States, but it doesn't mean that we should disregard underweight individuals, as there are many health risks as you listed. So I wanted to expand on your discussion with regards to that. So I first looked up the trends within the United States, and I found this article which is titled Trends of Obesity and Underweight in Older Children and Adolescents in the United States, Brazil, China, and Russia. And this is by Yofei Yang and Barry Popkin. And this was published in 2002. So, they look at four countries, as I previously stated, and Brazil, the United States, and China all have a common characteristic. Um, Russia was the only one who really differed. So for Russia, they look from the year 1992 to 1998, and obesity actually decreased in Russia, going from 15.6 as their baseline to 9.0. And underweight individuals or adolescents went from 6.9 to 8.1. So in Russia, they are the only country of the four states who showed that like decrease in obesity, increase in underweight individuals. So Brazil, they look at them from 1995 to 1997, so just 2 years, not as much. But they obesity goes from a 4.1 to a 13.9, and undereating or underweight individuals goes from 14.8 to 8.6, so a significant drop. And the United States I found interesting because they were the country to lead in obesity by 15.4 to 25.6, and underweight they decreased from 5.1 to 3.3. And in China, obesity was at a 6.1 and goes to a 7.7, and underweight goes from a 14.5 to a 13.1. So these numbers are a lot, but basically, I wanted to predominantly look at the United States, and I would think that that's a reason as to why underweight isn't really looked upon. However, I do think that these numbers might change within future generations or future years as we look at the generations, because I think within our generation it has almost become taboo to talk about what someone's eating, because there are a lot of eating disorders going around that lead to being underweight and increasing health risks. So again, the United States was from 1971 to 1994, and I also think within now, maybe things can change because of specific trends that go on and a lot of body dysmorphia within the younger generation and starting on social media so early, but that's another topic. So my other article was the effects and detriments of mild underweight among preschool and children across countries over time. So I found this to be interesting as it correlates with my previous article, because they do look at the same age group, which would be 6 to 18-year-olds. And this is by Susan E. Chen and William Masters. So what this issue basically publishes is, which was in 2011, and they basically look at 53 countries, so a broader spectrum from the year 1989 to 2006, which would be closer to us. And they find that there is a severe underweight case. However, many of them don't go reported because it's become taboo to talk about, and overweight is kind of almost normalized. So a lot of underweight individuals do not seek medical care as much. They kind of stay to themselves. So again, we can only have statistics based off of what is reported, and we don't really know if they don't report it to us. So they do find that there is an increase, though, in underweight children, and this could be, again, to fit into body whatever body type might be being praised, or what happens at school. A lot of individuals might, it could be one, that they can't afford food, or two, that they have an eating disorder. There are a variety of things that go into an individual being underweight. It's not always just that they have an eating disorder, right? And this is 53 countries, so it's not just the United States. But they end the article, which I found interesting because it's very similar to what you have mentioned. And it says, we conclude that the prevalence of underweight deserves greater attention as a useful signal of changing public health conditions among the younger generation. So I found that particularly interesting because I think, as you mentioned, there isn't a lot of light shed on underweight individuals as there is for overweight or obese individuals.